We're going to look at several local Pacific Northwest plants that we can use for food and medicine. And this is one of sort of our iconic species of this area, the Douglas fir tree. And it has all this lovely spring growth. So these new leaves that are coming in, these new needles that are really soft, and they're pretty tasty as a little trail snack and really nice tea. You can use the older leaves for tea as well, but for like any kind of cooking, I like the young leaves. So Douglas fir has these, try to get it real close to show you, leaves that are, these needle leaves, but they're not super sharp on the ends. They're a little bit blunt. It looks a lot like a Sitka spruce, but if you were to touch a Sitka spruce, it would actually kind of hurt. It's really strong, needly kind of feeling. And you look at the back of this and you can see the lines of stomata, which distinguishes it. You will see the white lines on the Douglas fir, comparing that to like a Pacific yew that's going to have kind of a bright green lines of stomata, and you wouldn't want to mistake Pacific yew for the other conifers that you can use for food and medicine. Here's the bark of the Douglas fir. This is a mature one, so it is much more deeply furrowed, having these big fissures, really textured bark. We'll compare that to the western hemlock, which is also in these woods. And we're just going to go for a little walk, but first I'm going to have a little trail snack of one of the, thank you. So going along the trail, this is the woods in by my house, getting kind of overgrown. But one of the plants I like to add to the Douglas fir tea is the trailing blackberry leaves. So combining Douglas fir leaves with trailing blackberry leaves. So trailing blackberry looks a lot like a salmonberry. It's a relative. Of course, here's Himalayan blackberry. They all have thorns. They are relatives of one another. This is your native blackberry and an invasive introduced species. They often grow right next to each other. So trailing blackberry has these very more lateral growth pattern and kind of bright green new growth. And you can see that powdery bloom on the stem here that you would also get on a black cap raspberry. And that's the back of the leaf. And you compare that to a black cap raspberry, which is going to be almost white underneath. This has edible berries. This has edible berries. And there are several others that do as well. But just wanted to show you this because the leaf is really nice in that tea. You can also do that with blackberry leaves. New shoots of blackberry, the young shoots are edible. You just sort of peel off that outer layer and the prickly parts, and you could eat that spring growth as you can with salmonberry. So here's the salmonberry. So leaves similar to the trailing blackberry. One of my teachers taught me with IDing this one. This turns into a butterfly when you take off that first leaflet of the trifolate leaf. So here are salmonberries that are in development. There are some ripe ones out on the landscape right now. Lots of salmonberry here. So for salmonberry, the shoots are edible, the flowers are edible, and the fruits are edible. Many of our Northwest natives right here. Oh, there's a beautiful ripe salmonberry. Looks like someone beat me to it right here. I don't know if that was a human coming down this trail. Of course, many of the animals like these too. So that's what it looks like. They can be yellow, they can be orange, they can be almost red. They're a little bit tart. Here's some others. These aren't quite ready yet. You can tell by the texture, and if you pull and it doesn't release quickly, it's not quite ready yet. Some of them can get quite large. This is a ripe one that's large. Thank you. That's what it looks like on the inside. and here's one that's quite red. So for the shoots, I'll try to find a shoot. Oh, here's bracken fern, bracken branches. Remember, the roots were used as a food source, but not recommended anymore due to the carcinogens. But it was an important food source for a long time. And honestly, I don't know if that became a problem health-wise, if they ate enough of it. This is one of my favorite little edibles right here, is Siberian miner's lettuce. It's growing right next to a young evergreen or cutleaf blackberry, which is also a weedy introduced blackberry, which will have delicious edible fruits just like the others right near trailing blackberry. But all of these little guys right here, that's Siberian miner's lettuce. So they have these sort of teardrop shaped leaves that are very smooth, entire. It starts out basal, and then it sends up a stem that will have these pairs of leaves and then pairs of flowers. Try to get in close here. So there's the flower. The flower has 5 petals and little stripes, little pink stripes that can make it look like a candy cane kind of, and these indentations in the flower petals. That all is edible. So thank you. Just prick the aerial portion. I never pull and tug, because then you would actually, pull the plant out, and they grow in little, often little clusters together in forest floor. There is a lookalike that is not edible, that's a little bit toxic, not like the most dangerous toxic, but still not one you'd want to eat. And I'll try to find some of that, which is Enchanter's Nightshade. So this is a relative of the other miner's lettuce, the one that's just called miner's lettuce, but they're actually 2 different plants, but you can use them interchangeably in salads and pestos as trail snacks. So I think it tastes a lot like chickweed. Thank you.